All right, welcome back. KBE Pod Week 1, 2023. Had some good football, had some not so good football. Just want to start with some takeaways from Week 1. I will start with the vegetables first. There was some really sloppy football that took center stage. Some of the marquee matchups just did not bring the excitement that I was definitely hoping for. The Kansas City Chiefs, not that wasn't a good game. There were definitely some missing pieces, but the fact that there were so many drops, just lack of fundamentals, specifically with Tony and Sky Moore, that was no bueno. The Giants offense, they allowed 7 sacks, had 5 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and got 0 points. You went 9-7-1 last year. Actually, a really decent team. Daniel Jones looked like he took a step forward, and then come out with this dud. I don't think the season's over for the Giants, but they need to make some changes. And also the game that just finished, Buffalo Bills with their meltdown. Josh Allen had 4 turnovers, and they lose to Zach Wilson. Aaron Rodgers played 4 snaps before he's done, and he'll probably be done for the year. So the Jets look like they're going to be running with Zach Wilson. That was a really fun experiment, for the Jets. All of 4 plays. Oh, man. A couple more negatives. Indianapolis running backs without JT, they had 25 yards rushing. Richardson got 40. I don't know if Jim Irsay is, we don't need a good running back. We can do it by committee. 25 yards rushing, yeah, that's not going to cut it. Seattle had some injuries to their both right and left tackle, and they lost Lockett as well for parts of that game. That definitely played a big factor in Seattle for them not being able to mount that comeback. I know the injuries actually happened in the third quarter where they were down already, but that was a shock. The Rams coming up and beating the Seahawks for sure, which leads me right into my next positives here. The lowly teams that started really fast this year. I guess I'll start with the Rams crushing the Seahawks. The Bucks and Skins also got wins. All 3 of those teams, not the Seahawks, the Rams, Bucks, and the Skins, they had a win projection of 6.5 or less, which puts them in the bottom 5th of the league. And both teams, or all 3 of those teams, are teams that could really use a quarterback, and they come out with a win. That's it's a little frustrating, I think, if you're a fan base and you're trying to secure that top pick for Caleb Williams or Drake May or Quinn Ewers. That's pretty cool to start the year. Maybe this season's not going to be a total loss. They may come back and rue this win, though. The Lions got the first opening win in 6 years. They were 0-4-1 prior. They found a way to beat the short-handed Chiefs, who've gone 5-0 in the last 6 years before that game. And as far as opening games, that was Mahomes' first loss in Week 1 in his career. The Browns crushed the Bengals, which is the consensus top pick. I don't think there are very many pundits out there that even had the Browns even coming close to win, which I think is a shame. But hey, not only did they beat the Bengals, but they completely shut them down. They only got 3 points. And the only reason they even got that field goal was because of a pass interference call that put them into field goal range. Would have been nice to get the shutout, but still, that's Jim Schwartz. That Jim Schwartz era kicked off with a real bang. Jordan Love threw for 245 yards, got 3 touchdowns, and they beat the Bears 38-20 in Chicago. He didn't have Watson available, but I know the run game with Aaron Jones really helped out a lot. So is Jordan Love for real? I'm not sure. I know we'll see for sure. But this is a really good start. Really good start. Nice to see Calvin Ridley down in Jacksonville picking up where he left off. He had 8 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown in their win over the Colts. He ended up getting 24.1 points. The Falcons running backs, they were the entire offense for Atlanta. I know last year they were, if they weren't the top team, I think that between the Eagles and the Falcons last year were the top 2 rushing teams. But Algier and Bijan, they combined for 35 touches, 167 yards, and 3 touchdowns. They were the offense. 3 rookies that stood out this week. Quarterback Richardson, 223 yards passing, 40 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Nakua, I don't know how to say his name. He had 10 catches, 119 yards for the Rams. He kind of filled in really nicely for the Cooper Kupp role. 15 targets. That's huge to a rookie. And now, granted, I know Cooper Kupp, your Stafford's safety blanket, was gone and will be gone for the next couple of weeks. But that was a really sneaky pickup by Devin Gregg. Just going to put that out there. And then finally, Bijan Robinson with 85 yards, 6 catches, and a touchdown. Those are the top 3 rookies so far week 1. And then also the last little tidbit here. I wonder, is the defense in Dallas, was that a product of poor quarterback or offense from the Giants, or was it the fact that the Dallas defense is for real? They made it really easy for the Cowboys offense, not having to do really that much. Again, just want to highlight 2 interceptions, a touchdown, 5 forced fumbles, 0 points against, and 7 sacks. When your defense comes out doing stuff like that, you end up with, well, the Monday Night Football game. Bunch of interceptions, fumble recoveries. I didn't watch enough of the game to know if they get that many sacks. I know Quentin Williams was a force down there. Sauce Gardner was covering everything, and what's his name? Witherspoon? The safety for the Jets with 3 interceptions, all 3 interceptions. That's crazy. Good for him. That's awesome. I would probably say just after week 1, top 3 defenses right now in football would be the Jets, then the Cowboys, and then the Browns. All 3 of those teams, no, I lied. In the case of the Jets as well as the Browns, they played a team who's expected to go for the Super Bowl, and they completely shut them down. Dallas, I think Dallas played the Giants, who was technically a playoff team, but of those 3 defenses, I think are the top 3. They are they played the easiest team of all 3 of those, but yeah, still very, very good showing for those 3 teams for defense. Not that matters that much in fantasy. We actually hope that defenses are terrible. That way you get more points, but hey. If you're in any other leagues that run defenses, make sure to pick those 3 up. Top players for week 1, Tyreek Hill had 45.5 points, 215 yards receiving. That's crazy. 2 touchdowns, 11 catches. Ayuk had 8 catches, 129 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey, 169 yards, 3 catches, and a touchdown. Aaron Jones had 127 yards, 2 catches, and 2 touchdowns. Austin Eckler, 164 yards, 4 catches, and a touchdown. Tua had 466 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. And the MVP so far of Week 1 and 2023 season, 316 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, Mac Jones. Still, unfortunately, couldn't overcome that Eagle defense, but that's impressive. Mac Jones is playing for his career in New England after a very down season last year. Came out real strong. All right, moving on to the games. Big Papa Swag and Whisker Biscuits. Big Papa Swag, top scorer this week, 173.68 points. That's really boosted by Tyreek Hill with his 45 points and Christian McCaffrey getting 31. Justin Herbert got just under 23. For Whisker Biscuits, he had 112.28. Had pretty solid players across the board, but no one jump out and do anything amazing. I honestly am very surprised that Pittman got 23.5 points. I didn't think Richardson's debut was going to be one that highlighted the passing game. So good for Richardson. Pittman had 23 points. I definitely thought it was going to take a little bit before the passing game kind of caught up with the ground. But it was the opposite, which I think is a huge shock for me. But maybe some of y'all saw it coming. He also, some other top players for Whisker, he had Olave with 20.2 and Purdy with 20.8. They're not all good this week. Jamar Chase had 9.1 points. Now, granted, he led all the receivers for the Bengals in all categories, and 9.1 points is not that bad, but for the expectation of him getting probably in the 20s, that Browns defense really smothered and took away a lot of opportunities. That 9.1 is going to probably be the low point of the season. Well, at least I'm hoping, for sure. And the biggest shock for me was Goddard with 0 points. 1 target, no catches. Sorry, just dropped my phone there. I hope that didn't sound too bad. All right, moving on to the next matchup, Blue Mitten and Bumpo. This one was the tightest matchups here. They, unfortunately, when that Dallas defense just absolutely crushed the Giants, Dak didn't really have to do anything. And so Bumpo could not overcome the 5 points he needed. 4.5 points he needed to beat Blue Mitten. Blue Mitten had Mahomes get 23.5 points. ETN got 21.4 and Connor got 12. Bumpo had Chubb was 16.7, Madison 13.4, and D-Hop at 13.5. Wasn't all good. Blue had Lamar Jackson get 6.56 points. That's just typical. His ceiling's going to be pretty high, but his floor is also pretty low. Just the nature of his game. And for Bumpo, Dak was the biggest disappointment. 7.32 points. If he would have gotten even close to his projection, he should have won by a couple points, but that Dallas defense just didn't let Dak get on the field. And a new category I want to highlight this season. We have our first bench warrior, Brandon Ayuk, scoring 32.9 worthless points. The good news for Blue is that didn't matter. He didn't need him. But maybe this week we'll see if Ayuk takes Aljack's spots. The Name is P and Nashi. Name is P came up on top, 141.54 to 107.84. P had Love, 30 points. Aaron Jones ran crazy, and Diggs did everything he could to try to claw back into that game, but just wasn't enough for the Jets against the Jets. Dashy has a really good stack there with Ridley and Trevor Lawrence, getting a combined 45 points, and Devontae Smith with 17.7 points. The name is P. Honestly, I'd say his team had the best all-around week. Numbers-wise, he definitely did not get the most points this week, but he didn't have anybody that really just didn't come to play. While he didn't necessarily need to try to play out the game of, I wish I would have put someone else on the bench, but all the players he put out there had produced, and that doesn't happen often. So good on P, his team. Nashi, on the other hand, had DJ Moore get only 4.5 points, which I was really hoping for better. I like DJ Moore. I think he's a really good wide receiver, but if this is the offense Chicago is going to end up running, DJ Moore is going to have a tough time getting points. Next, we have Delmezi and Demagreg. Oh, I keep doing that. I keep seeing it, and I keep mispronouncing it. Sorry, Greg. Delmezi had 68.28 points, and Demagreg had 98.96. This game was going to be a lot closer if Dalvin Cook got more run and Aaron Rodgers didn't get hurt. But Delmezi had Eckler get 27.4 points, got a third of his points. Geno Smith had 11, and the next best was Evan Ingram, 9.9. The biggest disappointment, and you'd hope for improvement, is not possible. It seems Aaron Rodgers may have ruptured his Achilles, which, if that is the case, still I'm getting a whole bunch of notifications that they think it's the Achilles. He's probably done for the year. It might even be his career. I'd hope not. But it looks like it's a Zach Wilson show. Goodness, words are hard. Greg over here with Pollard 22.2 points, Kirk Cousins 21.46, and Mike Evans with 18.6. The biggest disappointment is, I would definitely say Kadarius Toney with all the drops he had, but only getting 1 point. That's from what he ended up doing near the end of last year and then into the playoffs. I was expecting Toney to have pretty decent numbers, especially since their top target and Travis Kelce was out. That just didn't come to fruition. Honestly, that's another big shock. Going back to the Bucs getting a win, Baker Mayfield coming out, and Godwin got, I think, 15, 16 points. Mike Evans got 18.6 points. Looking like a decent quarterback. Again, kind of like the first couple of years he had in Cleveland. But I wonder how long that'll last. I wish the best for Baker, but it might be a kind of a rough season down there in Tampa Bay. My second and final bench warrior this week is on Demagreg's team, Jacoby Myers with 29.1 points, sitting there on the bench. Also, a good little sigh of relief is that none of the bench warriors affected the outcome. The worst is to have someone get you 29 points on the bench and you're sitting there somewhere within that range that could have had the win. But was not needed this week. And finally, our last matchup was Motley and Centerfield. Motley had 81.92. Centerfield with the win, 119.96. Very similar to Delmezy's flat week. Motley had a really one of the top scorers, Tua with 34.14. And just like Delmezy, one of his top guys, Dobbins, looks like he got an Achilles injury. Wow, 2 Achilles injuries. Knocked people out week 1. Dobbins at least had 11.7 points, though, before he had his injury. And Jahan Dodson had 9 points for Motley. Centerfield, Justin Jefferson had 25 points. Richardson, 22.92. And St. Brown had 19.1. For Motley, the biggest improvement that definitely needs to turn around is Joe Burrow. Got 3.18 points. That's, yikes. And another elite quarterback that disappointed for Centerfield was Josh Allen. He got 11 points, which of all the disappointments, obviously 11 points is not bad, but as a quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks in the league, you come out with 11 points, that's a shame. 4 turnovers, I don't know how you come back from that, at least in the game. You have to have a really awesome game just to offset all those negatives. Really looking forward to week 2. Gonna have a doubleheader on Monday night. Browns be playing. That makes me happy. Playing against the Steelers. And to be quite honest, without even really looking, I couldn't tell you who played the earlier game on that Monday night. But that Thursday night game is going to be the Vikings and the Eagles. That'll be fun. We'll see. I think I kind of hope we have another game like the Miami and Chargers game this last week. I hope we have a couple more games like that this coming weekend. Well, that's it for week 1. I'll probably get this a little bit more streamlined as the weeks go on, but thanks for listening, and we'll see you later.